Collective. Hello, my loves. Welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. I hope y'all are doing well. Collective. Oh, I don't know. I just felt like this, I can't catch my breath. How's everybody doing? Deep breath, deep breath. Belly breath. That's where it's at. Lean into the storm and abracadabra. What song is that? Abracadabra. I can't remember the words to it. It's a cute song. Well, let's read the book, shall we? Lean into the storm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what a lot of us have had to do, right? Like the rain's pouring down. Well, in terms of like irrigation, people who will collect rainwater, right? And it's like if you're getting like you've got a downpour, an influx of something, that where you're like, I can't use all of this at once. If I let it go to waste, then what do I do? I just feel like put the rain bins out, let it rain down, and then when the storm has passed, what is that? What read was that? Oh my gosh, that was forever ago, but it was just the idea of like running from the storm. But when you run from the storm just keeps, like, you're like in the path of the storm. You know what I mean? And I feel like this idea of not being someone who runs from the storm, but being somebody who sits in it and puts out bins because you got to collect the rainwater. Nothing shows up in your experience that isn't on your side. The hardest part of hardship is accepting that your pain isn't only happening to you, but for you. Storms and burdens are gifts from your deepest soul self. Their aim is to help shape you into the person your soul wanted to become before you arrived on this planet. In this moment, you are invited to see your difficulties as temporary guests, visiting with the singular intent of helping unearth your heart's truest song. As Rumi said, this being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Yeah, I just feel like, well, there are so many people in this world who are like, life is happening, oh, and you just want to smack them, and then there are ones who honor the process of life. The ones who recognize that storms will come. The best thing you can do is take cover, utilize what comes from the storm, and then, use it to your benefit. Yeah, people who try to dodge the storm, people who cry, victim to the storm, there are all kinds of ways that people can find themselves caught in a storm. But I feel like storms are inevitable. It's what you do with it. That's why your core character, ultimately, like, people have things that drive us nuts. People have things that, we really adore, but none of that matters if, like, at their core they're like shit character. And it's during the storms when you can really uncover the character of the people around you, right? I think that's why sometimes it can feel really overwhelming, but well, yeah, I mean, especially if you seek shelter during the storm and you're existing in your own life, but you've set out the barrels to collect all the rainwater. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like storms going on and everyone's running in all these different directions and everybody's doing all these different things, but like they're all clearly people who do not know how to exist in the storm. And that's telling of how sheltered they are, how inexperienced they are in life, and how terribly bothersome they would be in any real endeavors to change. Say it with me. Abracadabra. This word has been associated with hocus pocus, sleight of hand trickery, but it is so much more. It is an Aramaic word meaning I create as I speak. This is the time to believe in your vision and honor the power of light source. Draw close to wonder, embrace possibilities. Your dreams ache for a way into the world. You are their lighthouse, delivering from the etheric waters into the harbor of reality. Let yourself be their ally. Hold on to the truth behind all manifestations. Seeing is not believing, believing is seeing. Believing in the magic helps manifest it into the material realm of your life. Yeah, I just kind of feel like where there's a will, there's a way. The storms always pass, and what you glean from those storms is entirely contingent upon you and how you handle the storms. Like, are you a come up kid? Are you a shady, manipulative liar? Are you a judgmental, pretentious, like observer? Are you somebody who wants, zero accountability for people who are very blatant and belligerent with their, attempts to destroy others, while you plea forgiveness and love and acceptance to the very people you sent into exile. You know what I mean? Like, none of those examples are examples that anybody wants anything to do with. And yet all of those examples provide us with wonderful sources of energy to tap in on when it is time to call on our magic. Okay, let's do clarifiers. Queen of Wands, Judgment, the Fool, and the Ten of Swords. God damn. Oof. This one is legit. Well, I mean, she is just stabbed through the back. Just stabbed. Just stabbed and stabbed and stabbed and stabbed. It was like a fucking see how many people can stab you. See how many times they can get away with stabbing you. That's what that feels like. And it's almost like that, I just feel like that life that continues on. Let's read this story with this one, because we haven't gotten the Ten of Swords in this deck before. Oops, wrong book. Yeah, well, that's how it feels, I mean, like, shit, even just existing in the world, and it's like, okay, well, do you have my location? And, like, it's important to be, at least present enough in your community that people recognize you, so that they know that you're local, you know what I mean? So that you're not, targeted by other people who might think that they could get away with it. I mean, there's just all of the laws. Well, now there's a law. I don't know if it's been passed or it's a bill that's been proposed, but there's so many. But women are losing their right to vote if they don't have if their current name doesn't match the name on their birth certificate. Removing women's right to vote. The school in Tennessee that just removed the right of a doctor's note as a proof of absence, and determined that they will now, if you miss 8 days of school in this county in Tennessee, they won't honor the fact that you are sick. They will use that as a reason to throw you in a detention center. Like fucking COVID, you were out for 2 weeks. Easy. They're going to get everybody sick and then just start throwing them in detention centers for that? Where is the, what is happening? It is impossible to go out into the world and not feel like you are constantly under attack. It's ridiculous. But let's read it. Yeah, I do want to read it. Okay, the card does not leave much room for imagination. A delicate figure is pierced by 10 swords in her back. The situation in question has ended. There is no possibility of recovery. It is the end of a cycle, the moment when we know we must take another path through the detachment. Though the detachment may be difficult. Well, yeah, because that lean into the storm, that I know that I'm going to be attacked relentlessly by anyone and everyone who has the right or the means or the justification to attack me. What an unhealthy mentality to exist in. What a sick world that we live in. And man, oh man, there are sickos everywhere. But that's the shit we're dealing with. If I know that you will actively seek my destruction and then actively attempt to destroy me when the ones who sought to destroy me aren't able to do it, you've seen your end. Carry on, yeah, it's not difficult for me. I don't know. Maybe it's that other people are out there and they're having difficulties with it. I have been waiting for it. Although the card seems dramatic, it is somewhat ironic. 10 swords is a lot, perhaps too many. Try not to dramatize or play the victim. Instead, try to let things go with ease. If you look inside, you may find that you already knew the situation was at its end. Letting it go will invite space and light for new beginnings. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Take shelter. If you know that you're going to get daggered left and right by a mass group of people, whether it's your government, now the schools, there's no escaping it, and then you exist in a society of people who all just streamline that energy and pat each other on the back for it. But it doesn't do anybody any good to play victim to it, because these people are going to do what they're going to do, whether you allow yourself to be victimized by it or not. And if you allow yourself to be victimized by it, then, really they at least got away with, taking your peace and stealing your, your mental, well, I want to say your mental health, but I feel like more of like people who just want to hurt your feelings constantly, tear you down, abusive relationships that are just really toxic. Those people usually don't aggressively verbally abuse, but on occasion, typically what they do is they backhand you, and they make you question your worth, until they can attack you and completely destroy your worth. It's a really it's almost like fuckboy 101, but for fucktard war 101. Judgment. Yeah, like absurdities. And when people practice in such absurdities, the weak ones will cry. The strong ones will put out their bins, collect the storm water as it pours down, and then utilize it. And we've got the Fool and the Queen of Wands, and I feel like abracadabra, right? I speak it into existence. It is new. The Fool. Tied to new beginnings, to everything that has just been born or is about to be born. It is lightness, the ability to dare and trust in one's future. The Zero card, from which everything starts and to which we will return, contains the fresh dynamic energy of what has just been born. The fool takes responsibility for fully experiencing the here and now. She appears like a mirage accompanied by the wolf, watching the day in the making while sitting in the corolla of a flower. Perhaps she has decided to flee from the mountain scene in the background. The flowers support her as she carries out new, bright ideas. She is associated with the first light of dawn, the dawning day. The associated plant is morning glory, which refers to the Ipomea plants in the Cornvolvulacea family that bloom at first light and close by early afternoon. Yeah. Yeah, because, like you aren't weak by leaning into the storm. That doesn't make you foolish. It just enables you to collect all of the evidence, which is bleeding. Queen of Wands. Every queen is a witch, and in every queen shines the creative light of the Empress. Without a doubt, here we are in the presence of the one who is the most magical and charismatic witch of the 4 queens of the court. She is moved by passion and vision, rarely doubts herself, and moves with confidence, shifting the magic around her. She knows what she wants, and she knows how to get it. In her dwells the magic of fire, the warmth of the flame. She is often accompanied by a black cat who looks directly at us from this card. He is her familiar, or she herself may be a shapeshifter, taking on a feline guise at night. She loves passionately and unconditionally. The engine of her actions is everything she believes in and for which she is willing to burn, making herself flame and light for others as well. Yeah, I just feel like this absolutely a sense of rebirth, absolutely a sense of vision and passion and confidence, because again, like, how do you speak with confidence? You know, you know what I mean? And if you already know, right, then you can have confidence in what will be. Yeah, I don't know, because it does, feel past tense in a lot of ways, um, for sure. Um, but the truth of it all is that we very much are still, as a culture, as a society, existing in this type of environment. And I feel like in a lot of ways, like we are experiencing this downpour of abuse, because that's what it is. It's verbal abuse, it's political abuse, it's religious abuse, it's cultural abuse, and we are being beaten down with it constantly. But I just feel like this, like, hang on, because things are going to change in a very drastic way. Um, yeah, obviously that'll play out differently for everyone because, we're all going in our own directions, right? That's the point. And so I feel like there is this sense of really heading out in your own direction, calling on your own magic, utilizing the things that had come to you, that I think what had once served as your judgment now serves as your liberation, because ignorance is as ignorance does. Power hunger is willing to part ways with truth and reality in its attempt at a grab. Like fucking what the what is it, the DOG, the guy who's the head of the FBI, who was a podcaster, you know, like, you know, the judge who's been indicted for sex trafficking, who's now in charge of the justice system. You know, like, if you don't think it's a power play to situate yourself amongst your fallen peers, then you must think the world is blind. You know what I mean? And the world isn't blind, thankfully. And I think they're just reaching a state where they're actually starting to try and do something about it. Sorry, that one went all the way across the floor. The Page of Pentacles, the High Priestess, the Emperor. Well, again, you know, I just kind of feel like this, the one who's on the side of the Fool, you know, like the one who put out the water bins and collected the rainwater in the storm, to ensure that they would be free and clear to go in the directions that they needed to go in. I think that there is almost, I just feel like an illumination, an understanding of, you know, like exactly what went down, and who all got played and why they got played and how they got played and who exactly it is that played them. And the ones who didn't get played are, I think, stepping into their power, going in a new direction. And I feel like being honored in their knowing. Yeah. Well, because the only people who try to put you beneath them are people who are already naturally beneath you. You know, otherwise, like, healthy people don't do that. Um, and, you know, everybody's going to be thriving in different areas, right? I think about Shelley and, you know, like when I lived with her for that year, you know, she was definitely above me in terms of her level of stability. And because she was above me, she felt compelled to help me, not to kick me when I was down and criticize me and then accuse me of being bitter. You know what I mean? Like that would have never even crossed her mind. You know, like, she would never think in such a corrupt means of superior justifications. And she certainly wasn't surrounded with people who would encourage that. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, I haven't eaten yet. We've got the Fool again, and Justice, and the Two of Swords, and the Hierophant. Yeah, I do feel like there's just this, like, okay, enough's enough, and moving on and going in new directions, because justice is nowhere to be found in the land of the sickos, right? And for those of us here in America who are attempting to fight a battle against the land of the sickos, I don't know. I just feel like this little ray of hope, this sense of new directions. I love that you have the Hierophant and the High Priestess here, with the Ace of Cups, because I do feel like there is a sense of, in this new direction, you will meet this person. What person? I don't know what person. I don't know what person it is for you. Do I think it's somebody that you already know? I have no idea because it'll play out differently for everyone. But honestly, yeah. I think it's somebody that you don't know, because I think that, like, what this is all saying is that, like, you've been going through hell. You don't have to do that anymore. While you were going through hell, all you did was take shelter, do all the things that you needed to do, set out the bins, collect the rainwater, and then, utilize that as your, like the magic portal that you needed to cross over. You know what I mean? Like, and into your new beginnings. And I just feel this sense of, like, yeah, I was confident that I was going to do it because I always knew that I was going to do it. Like, I've already seen it. Like, you know, Knave of Swords and Page of Swords and Seven of Swords. Yeah, I mean, opportunity, leaving behind things where, like, there are battles, and new directions. I mean, with the Fool here twice, like, going in new directions, that there's movement that's founded on justice. I mean, you have justice and judgment. Where'd judgment go? Here you are. New directions founded in magic accumulated, and I think an elevation in stature that is aligned with not only your knowing, but your knowing, because the Hierophant and the High Priestess, I mean, that's a psychic inner knowing, and that's, a knowing of experience. And I love that. Okay, let's do one of these. Three of Spades. The pig, whether near or far, is an omen of phenomenal luck and a great abundance, high honors, and all ambition attained. Yeah, I feel like whatever cords that are cut, whatever storm that you endured, whatever hell you went through, you're out, you made it to the other side. You don't have to worry about any of that following you. It has no power outside of its own confinement, right? It's sealed tight. Like, it's like the air got sucked out of the plastic bag, and it's basically void now. So that's really all the more there is to say about it, right? Nobody cares. Moving on. Moonbathe in Hope. Oh, this is cool. Haven't seen this one before. I don't know, last night, like 3 o'clock in the morning, I get a FaceTime call from Ducky. Like, what, why are you? But it was nice, just like have some friend time in the middle of the night when I'm just laying in bed. Random out of the blue. Moonbathe and Hope. Okay. Now is the time for moonbathing and hope. Mother Moon is friend to all dreamers. She incubates your dreams and grows wings for all your wishes. She encourages all to remember not all who wonder are lost. Roam, wonder, receive. She doesn't shine exclusively for the special, the brightly talented, or accomplished. In fact, she shines brightest in the dark. Embrace those hopeful rays. Take a walk in her radiance. Bask in her glow. Have a conversation with her about the untold stories in your soul and the wishes waiting to grow wings. Ask her to guide you through the dark night, bringing luminosity to all that's currently unknown, unseen, or unformed. Well, I love that, because not all who wonder are lost. And that is just the worst excuse for criticism and judgment, Well, and I think especially for people who are naturally nomadic, like it's in your DNA, it's in your ancestry, to be in that way, than people who criticize that are, just like exhibiting their ignorance of culture outside of their own. And that is like colonizer 101. You ever just feel like you only are dealing with 101 and you're like, bitch, I'm PhD, you know? I feel like there's just this sense of honoring the process, honoring the process of your magic, trusting in the way that it will lead you, practicing accountability for yourself, holding yourself accountable. The best thing we can do for ourselves is better ourselves, and no, not on some like personal development bullshit, because can I just tell you how many personal development people there are in the world who have shit character, you know what I mean, who are just literal energetic shit stains. But they sure will tell you that they're there to help you with your personal development. That is a lie. They don't even have a concept of what that means, not truly, not spiritually. But, the reason the world, I think, is so easily misled is because they're so ready to just listen to idiots who have accomplishments that really superseded their growth as people, spiritually, emotionally, in those manners, and then they come up over here, but they're so far down over here that really they just end up being, like a sideshow of mockery to actual growth and development. And again, we're dealing with that in the world in a really big way across the board. And so, the most important thing we can do is practice a sense of discipline within ourselves, practice a sense of humanity within ourselves, hold ourselves accountable for what we consume, how we consume it, who we consume it from, hold ourselves accountable in terms of sheepdom, practice free thinking, and awareness, because I think the biggest mistake that the spiritual community makes is that they think that because they have some secret access to spirit, that they have access to all things. And what they end up having is like a secret access. Yeah, I think of people who are like, I'm in clear energy. And it's like, didn't you say that you work with Christ? And aren't you conscious of the fact that Christ says that if you clear out one demon, 7 more will return? Doesn't that translate in your pretty little brain about how much damage you're doing by doing those things? It doesn't. They don't get it. They're very ignorant. But we're not here to deal in belligerent, privileged ignorance. That is a thing of the past. And, those doors are closing. And, we're on to new things. We are on to bigger and better things that are genuinely aligned with us. I think we're stronger, we're more powerful, and we're better prepared for the enemies that we face. And I love that for us. If this does resonate with you, please do give me a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for spending some time with me and sharing your energy with me, and I will see y'all again soon. Bye.